What's a ham radio?
The Cadillac of ham radios.
Hello everyone, welcome back to yet another episode of Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. We've got a great episode for you today as usual, but first, we have a little housekeeping to take care of, and I'm going to turn it over to Jasmine to let you know where you can find us on social media and where you can listen to the podcast.
Thanks, Ashley. You can find us on Instagram at Ham Radio Media, all one word, on Twitter at HamThrough, on YouTube at Ham Radio Media, or using our handle HamRadio1983. We also have a Discord you can join, which is linked in the description of this episode. If you have a fan theory or question you want to share, you can email us at hamradiomedia@gmail.com. Ashley also has a fanfic on AO3 entitled Stranger Things College, which is also linked in the description. The podcast is available on all major podcasting platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and much more. If you like the show, please consider leaving us a rating or review. We have a lot of totally tubular stuff coming up, so be sure to follow us on social media to keep up with the podcast and all of our new content.
Hello, and as always, welcome back to another episode of Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by a fellow Stranger Things fanatic, Haley from the Haley's Funko Space Instagram account. Haley and I will be talking about her Stranger Things merch collection, her experience in seeing the Stranger Things prequel play, The First Shadow, on Broadway, and some Season 5 theories, hopes, and predictions. Haley, welcome. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to chatting with you, and it's going well today. It's a sunny Sunday afternoon, so I really can't complain.
Yes, I'm enjoying the weather. I live in Georgia, so it won't be too pleasant too long, because in about a month or so it'll be like very, very hot. But we had a very good winter this year. It was very cold, so I, for one, am glad to be able to walk outside and wear some shorts and t-shirt. So yeah, loving the spring.
Did see that Georgia had some snow this winter, so that was interesting for you guys, I'm sure. But yeah, it's nice to be into the spring weather now and have a little bit warmer weather here at least.
Awesome. So Haley, since you're our guest, it's all about you. So before we get into the episode, why don't you introduce yourself to everyone and tell us a little bit about yourself and what it is that you do.
Yeah, no problem. So my name is Haley. I have a page on multiple social media accounts called Haley's Funko Space. I am mainly a Stranger Things collector. I started off with mainly Funko Pops, but it's kind of expanded into collecting all different Stranger Things merch. I make content on my collection and Stranger Things content in general. It's become a big passion of mine. I've been kind of building this up for a couple of years now, and it's just become something that's a part of my daily life, but
awesome. So speaking of your Funko Pop collection, can you tell us about how you got into collecting Funko Pops and why Stranger Things in particular?
Yeah, absolutely. So it actually didn't start off with Stranger Things. I was gifted a Funko Pop, I believe, for Christmas of 2017, and it was actually just a hockey Funko Pop. So that's kind of what started my interest into Funko, and then I kind of, after season 2, started noticing the Stranger Things Funko Pops, which led me to start collecting Stranger Things. It was at a much slower pace back then, and then after season 4 hit, it just kind of blew up. I started trying to collect every single one in the collection, which has been an almost 3-year-long journey now at this point. I'm getting pretty close to it, not entirely there. But yeah, it just kind of started from someone gifting it to me, just becoming aware of the actual Funko Pops themselves, and then after season 4, my love for Stranger Things grew even more because season 4 was just amazing, so just kind of led to this, and it's kind of grown for the past couple of years into what it is now.
Love to hear it. I always loved, one of my favorite parts about when we have guests on, especially first-time guests, no matter who they are, is just hearing their Stranger Things journey, and usually they're always different. We've had some that are OG fans. They started from the very beginning in season 1, and then you have others that are like me and Jasmine, and they didn't get into the show until season 3 or season 4. So it's always nice to have that array of the different fans, and to know just still how big this show still is, even after all this time, after 10 years. I mean, there's still going to people, like, even now, like, going into season 5 it's going to be the first time ever watching the show, like, in real time. And so that's always great to see. But the funny thing is that so far we have yet to have a guest on that started watching the show in season 2. Like, it's either season 1 or season 2 or season 4, but we've never had one that started in season 2.
I did actually start watching from season 1, but I didn't start collecting the Funko Pops until season 2, as I wasn't into Funko Pops, but I've been into Stranger Things right from the beginning. My boyfriend's family, his siblings are actually quite younger than us, and they kind of introduced us to the show, so that's where the love started. But the collecting didn't start until season 2, which meant there was some backtracking to do in terms of collection too, which was a little bit difficult. But yeah, it is crazy to think that this fandom has been around for almost a decade now, and to watch it grow into what it's been is truly incredible.
Yeah, I remember I bought the one and only Funko Pop that I own like 5 years ago, and I thought I was really something. Like, I made it. And then I, follow channels like yours and realize, oh, wow, my one little Funko Pop is just pales in comparison.
I think you have, a normal collection. I that was what mine started as well, one here and there. But like I said, it snowballed. It's crazy. They put out so many different variants, so many different characters. It's hard to know where to stop sometimes. I mean, obviously I set a goal to collect all of them, but they're putting out so many different ones. It makes it hard to just have a couple after so long.
Hey, look, I totally understand that. I think probably the good thing for me is that I literally do not have the space for that. Otherwise, I would be right up there with you.
Yeah, that's typically a factor in a lot of people collecting, is where do you put them all, because there's so many amazing figures, but they do take up a ton of space, so it is hard to find everything. So even with another season coming to us later this year and more merch, it's becoming troublesome to think about where it's all going to go, but that's a problem for future Haley.
Yeah, you cross that bridge when we get there.
Exactly.
So I feel like this is a good segue for me to ask you. So was there ever a moment where you stood back and you looked at your shelves and you went, okay, this is officially a collection now?
For sure. I would say towards the end of 2022 was kind of really that aha moment. Like I said, it started off with just a couple. I mainly only had one of each character for the longest time. And then season 4 hit, like I said. And in that 6 months from summer to the end of 2022, my collection grew immensely. So it was crazy to just look at how many Funko Pops and how many different collectibles and different merch items had ended up in the collection. But it's pretty cool too to think back on the journey. And some of the Funko Pops I had to go on adventures for, drive far distances for. So it's really cool to think back, and some of them have really specific memories attached to them, which is cool. So I would say 2022, and then it's just continued to grow even more. And walking in there today, it's crazy, but it's definitely my happy place. I love to be in there. It definitely brightens my mood being in there, being around everything Stranger Things. So I wouldn't have it any other way.
So what's the furthest place you've ever traveled to buy one?
I've traveled to the States. I mean, not specifically just for a Funko Pop, but I've had trips to go into different states, and I've met up with people in those states and gotten Funko Pops that I couldn't necessarily find here around me. I've driven within my province here 3-4 hours at some point, so it's definitely dedication, but like I said, I'm proud of where it's at, and I'm getting close to having all of the collection that's been made so far, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome, because I was like, wow, she drove to faraway places for a Funko Pop. That is dedication. Because I had to say you're far better than I would be, because, I mean, there's very few things that I would drive or travel faraway distances for. So, yeah, you definitely would be a lot better than me if that were the case.
It definitely takes a level of dedication, and I mean, obviously you're putting out a lot of time to collect, but I enjoy it. I enjoy a good car ride, so every once in a while, if there's something that I can't find around me, we make an adventure out of it. Maybe I'll find some other stops along the way that are some cool places, go do a hike or something like that. So I try to make a trip of it, but at the end of the day, you get the collectible or Funko Pop that you want, which is also an added bonus.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one thing, a big tradition that my mom and I have had dating decades back is it's whenever we go on trips, we always try to get an ornament for our Christmas tree from our travels. And we joked this past Christmas that we're probably going to have to get a brand new tree to fit them all on, because we've just collected so much. And it's crazy how over time, without even realizing it, you can collect a lot of stuff just from doing things like that, just seeing things that you like along the way on trips or what have you, or at the store, and the next thing you know, boom, shelf full of things, boxes full of things. So it's always crazy how I feel like inadvertently we're all collectors, even though maybe that's not what we set out to do, or to be collectors, but we are all collectors in a way, if you think about it.
Yeah, it definitely creeps up on you, even if you do it slowly, like you're talking about, just once a year. But if you do that for a few consecutive years, you have quite a few items, and yeah, it creeps up on you slowly. But I agree with you. I feel like a lot of people collect at least something. If maybe it's not, action figures or Funko Pops or something like that, but I feel like everybody's got just that one little thing that they may collect.
So just, a ballpark estimate, about how many Stranger Things Funko Pops do you currently own?
That is a great question. I used to have my collection in the Funko Pop app, and I had it all registered and I had a number, and then the app unfortunately crashed a year or two ago, and I have not put it back in since. But if I had to guess, I would say somewhere between 200 to 250 Stranger Things Funko Pops, and then there's also other brands as well, so it's
wow.
Up there. So yeah, I would say somewhere around 250 at least is a good estimate, but I definitely have to go back in and I would need to track my collection again, because it was nice to have it all displayed like that and see everything, have a good number. It was just much more organized that way, but
well, that's incredible. That really is. The fact that, you keep track with all that, but also just to have that many Stranger Things Funko Pops alone, not to mention the other brands. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's definitely become something, like I said, I couldn't have imagined, but it's cool. And it's nice to actually get to look at other brands too. I do love Funko, and obviously that is a main part of my collection, but in recent years, I've also started expanding and looking at other companies and seeing their collectibles and figures and merch, and it's cool. It's cool to see how much there is. There's a huge, huge, huge number of different Stranger Things merchandise available out there, so it's cool to see the success of the franchise too in that regard as well, them having that many collectible options.
Yeah, absolutely. The posters, the Funko Pops, obviously, the skateboards. I know you posted something the other day on your Instagram about the skateboard collection. I thought that was really cool. Yeah, I mean, it's just incredible to see it. And obviously we love to buy these things, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I love, again, collectibles and little trinkets, things like that. And again, if only I had more space, I don't know, that could be either a really good thing for me or a really bad thing. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll be able to figure that out. But for now, I'm I got my Stranger Things t-shirt. I got my Stranger Things Funko Pop, Stranger Things Christmas ornament. Success.
You've got the necessities there. That's what matters, right?
Exactly. If you only have those three things of Stranger Things, then you're still a fan. You don't need to have all the stuff to be considered a fan. If you only have those three things, then you have had everything.
No, absolutely, I agree. I mean, I love to collect and I love my collection, but I don't think, anyone having a big collection or a collection makes them more of a fan. I think, just our love for the fandom at the end of the day is what fuels that. But yeah, the ongoing joke that I've kind of been talking with people about is I'm going to need a new house for season 5 because there's just too much stuff, and I don't know where I'm going to put it all at this point because my room is almost at capacity, so it'll be fun to figure it out, that's for sure.
You have to add on.
Yeah, renovations strictly just for the collection.
I know, like, I don't know, could you imagine, like, going to the bank to take out a loan for that, and you had to tell the loan officer what the purpose is, and you're like, to add on to my house for my Stranger Things Funko Pop collection. It's overgrowing my house.
Just classify it as a woman cave, and that's all they need to know.
I know, like, look, as long as I meet the qualifications, I mean, just give me the loan. There should be no issue here.
Oh, that's funny.
So, which one of your Funkos is would you say your most rarest piece or your most valuable piece?
I think the most rare, I guess you could say. Some of the Funko Pops have piece counts. So for example, there'll be like only 2,000 made in the world. My lowest piece count is from 2022, I believe, San Diego Comic-Con, and it is a Freddy Funko, who is Funko's mascot, as Mike Wheeler in his Hellfire shirt. That Funko Pop is limited to 820 pieces, I believe. So,
oh wow,
that I believe is my lowest piece count. And I also recently added another San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. And for anyone who's not familiar with what that is, you have to physically attend that convention to be able to buy that Funko Pop. So you had to be at the San Diego Comic-Con in 2022, the year it was released, in order to get that Funko, or you had to get it off somebody who was there. So those are the only ways to acquire them. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. So that's one of my rarest. And then this year I also added, it's a 2018 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Robin Funko Pop to my collection, and that one is limited to 480 pieces, which is crazy to think about because that's not really a high number of people when you think about the population of the world. So yeah, those are probably my rarest and I would say most valuable in my collection at this point.
So is there a piece in your collection that has a personal story or an emotional value to it that you would feel comfortable sharing with us?
Yeah, for sure. I have an Eddie Munson Funko that is now signed by Joseph Quinn, but it was a little bit of a journey to get that autograph. So I was lucky enough to meet Joseph in 2022, which was obviously right after season 4, and you know, his character had just received so much love. He was like an instant fan favorite in the fandom, so it was really cool that he was going to be in Toronto for a convention of all places. I thought that was incredible. So I was able to meet him, but I was unable to get his autograph that day. I was at the end of the line, unfortunately, and he just didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to get it signed. But then I saw that he was going to be in Philadelphia in 2023. Obviously, this was a few months later. And I tried to make it there, and unfortunately, things didn't work out. But I had a friend who was nice enough to let me mail him my Funko Pop, and he went and he got it autographed by Joseph Quinn for me. So it took over a year, but I was able to finally get that autograph, which meant the world to me because I was a really big fan. Well, I still am a really big fan of Joseph, and I thought his performance in season 4 was really incredible, and the way he brought the character of Eddie to life was something that I feel like a lot of people can resonate with. So it was a cool full circle moment to finally get that autograph and have it back in my hands. So it's now sitting in my collection, and it's something that makes me pretty happy every day. So I would say that's a Funko that has a pretty interesting or personal story attached to it.
Hey, that's awesome. Hey, at the end of the day, you still got the autograph. So that's all that matters.
Absolutely.
Yes, and R.I.P. Eddie Munson, gone but never forgotten.
There is absolutely no way that this fan base will ever let him be forgotten. It was truly incredible just to see like how popular he became, and just to see his success since season 4 as well is truly incredible too. Like, he's been in so much. He's been cast into the MCU, so it's awesome. I think it's deserving, and yeah, I think the Stranger Things fandom will forever hold him in high praise for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very much looking forward to the Fantastic Four movie this summer. And it's funny, like, I remember Joseph Quinn from way back in the day when he was mostly on, like, the BBC and other British television shows because, you know, he's British. And I remember most of his roles were, like, villains. And so, so to see him in season 4 as not only a good character, but an iconic character that everyone just like fell in love with, and just to see his career just take off from being on just one season of the show is just really incredible. And I really am happy for him, even though I don't know him personally, but it is really great to see, like, you know, someone who has been around for quite some time, but just not, you know, in the mainstream, and yet one season on one show completely just changed the trajectory of his career entirely. So that's incredible to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just like a testament to like continuing to work at something, you know, even if it's not coming right away. Like, it just takes that one break, right? Like, Stranger Things was his one break that put him on the map, and you know, he had a lot of smaller roles and he worked for years getting smaller roles, but you know, it paid off because he's put himself on the map, and rightfully so, much deserving.
For sure. So are there any pieces that you'd say you're still hunting for, or ones that you feel like have been kind of nearly impossible to track down?
For sure. There is a handful of them. I mentioned a little bit earlier, Freddy Funko is Funko's mascot. There is a few 2018 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Freddy Funkos. There's Freddy as Steve, Freddy as Dustin, Freddy as Will, and I think there's 2 variants of Steve actually, which is kind of nice. I've never been able to get my hands on those ones. They haven't really come up here locally. There's also, unfortunately, a lot of fakes that have been made of these ones because they are of higher value, which makes it a little bit more difficult to feel confident in buying them, if that makes sense. Just because they are of such high value, you want to make sure it's real, right? So those have been a little bit difficult to track down. And then there is it's another San Diego Comic-Con exclusive. I think no shock at this point. But it is a golden hopper, and it is limited to 40 pieces, and it is absolutely impossible to find. Not to mention the price tag attached is insane. So I'm not sure that'll be one that I ever own, but it is a pipe dream. I think about it often. If it'd be crazy to have that one, but yeah, there only being 40 of them in the world makes it extremely difficult, but maybe one day, I don't know.
Hey, dreams come true every day, Haley.
Just gotta keep working at it. You never know, right? Maybe someone near me has one and it'll pop up one day. I just gotta keep searching, right? That's the only thing I can do at this point, but it does seem far away at this point. I will say that.
I know, you have to check everywhere, I guess, like pawn shops and radio station contests. I don't know if they still do those, but that's really incredible. I'd never heard about the golden hopper, so that really is cool. So hopefully one day you'll be able to get your hands on one of those.
Fingers crossed. That is the ultimate dream, but I'm happy regardless, even if it doesn't happen, because I know it's going to be a hard one, but I know one person who has it, and it's pretty incredible that he does, so.
Okay. I don't think, I take it he's not gonna give that up anytime soon.
He is a Stranger Things collector himself. He has a huge collection as well, so it belongs in his collection. It's in the right home for sure, so I think it'll be staying there for a long, long time.
Well, as long as it's in the hands of a Stranger Things fan, that's good. If it's anybody else, you should be worried. No, I'm kidding.
Absolutely, yeah. It's in a good home. It's in a well-loved home, for sure.
So, do you, like, prefer the classic character designs, or the more exclusive, like, scene-specific ones, like Eleven in her rainbow Rainbow Room outfit or Steve with the ice cream cone, or do you like all of them?
Say I like both. Each they have their pros and cons. I take photos of my Funko Pops too. Toy photography is one of my passions, so there's pros and cons to both of them. I think the scene specific ones are really cool to photograph, and it, makes everybody aware of the scene that you're trying to capture very easily. But I feel like you have a little bit more freedom with just the individual figures themselves and being able to like place them and stuff like that. But I think both of them are equally as cool. I think there's been some really cool Funko movie moments or deluxe moments. Like we got the Dustin, Eddie, and Demobat Phase 3. It's like a massive deluxe moment. That one was really cool. The detail in it has like the Munson trailer. It's got a bunch of Demobats in the background. It has the iconic scene where, Eddie Munson's shredding some Metallica with Dustin in the background. It's cool to get in like unique details like that, but the individual figures are just cool on their own too. So hard to decide. I think they both equally have like a good soft spot in my heart.
Awesome. I mean, I think all of the designs are cool and cute because they're, little outfits and stuff. But I do like to see the exclusives. I think those are pretty cool as well. I hope we get more of those after like season 5. But yeah, I mean, I like Funko Pops. I'm a big Funko Pop fan. It's really funny because back in the day it was all bobbleheads and now it's Funko Pops. So, I mean, bobbleheads are still popular, but, Funko Pops seem to be still there. I mean, Funko Pops have been around for like a few years now and they're still popular, but yeah, I like them all.
Yeah, they've come out with some really amazing exclusive over the past few years too. The exclusives are fun to hunt down too because obviously they're exclusive to like specific stores or websites or conventions. So that kind of makes the hunt of them a little bit more fun too. But yeah, they've gotten really creative and they've I feel like they do a really good job with the details too. Like the Funko Pops that we get, like the details are always like spot on to the specific scene or like the character and their outfit. Like I feel like they just do a really good job of that.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you think makes a great Funko Pop design?
I think just adding on to what I said before is just the attention to detail and really making it as, screen accurate as possible. And I think, like I said, they really do a good job of that. We've gotten so many different variants of different Stranger Things characters, like 11, for example, in her various outfits. Season 3, she did they had the mall scene with Max and they tried on a bunch of things and we got so many of those different outfits that she tried on. And I think it's just like a special little like tribute to that small scene. It's cool to just have something from a scene that you resonated with. I think most people that watched season 3 really enjoyed that mall scene. It was fun. The bright colors of the outfits and things like that. So I just think like the real attention to detail. And I think it's cool that they've expanded into being able to do these scene specific moments too. Like you mentioned 11 in the Rainbow Room. That one was epic, having the rainbow behind her and seeing the security camera. It has the little table behind her with all the like little like toys and like puzzles that they were doing in the Rainbow Room. Just like they really pay attention to everything and add it in there. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, that one is probably, to be honest with you, like my favorite one of the exclusives so far because it's not just the Funko Pop. Like it's also like a miniature in a way. And I think I like that, as well. Because again, like you said, the attention to detail and it's small on such a small scale. And even down to like the blood splatter and stuff, they got all of that correct. And so, yeah, I think it's really cool how they are able to recreate that in this small toy design, essentially.
For sure. It takes special talent for that attention to detail and to execute it as well as they do on the figures as well. It keeps me coming back. Obviously, I've got, I think, close to 300, I said earlier, so they do a good job for sure.
Yeah, so you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but have you been able to connect with other collectors or communities through Haley's Funko space?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's truly been the best part about having this account and sharing my collection online is the community that it's introduced me to. People have been extremely welcoming. It's really nice to connect with people who have similar interests as you, whether it be collecting or just being a fan of the show. You know, not everybody that I've connected with necessarily collects, but they're fans of the show. So it's cool that our interests don't entirely overlap, but we have something in common and we're able to, you know, create friendships and relationships based off that. So that's truly been the biggest blessing. I don't have too many friends around here that are actually into Stranger Things. So it was nice to kind of find a group of people that were equally as obsessed with this fandom as I am, because my friends here were getting a little exhausted of me talking about a show that they had never watched. So it was nice to kind of have an outlet to do that and to find some friends that are, you know, obsessed just like I am.
Yeah, I've been there. You know, I do have friends that like the show and watch the show, but they're not quite as, you know, fanatic about it as I am. And so they're always like, wow, you put a lot of effort into your podcast about a fictional show. I'm like, yeah, I mean, what else is there to do? No, I'm kidding. So yeah, I mean, it is fun to be able to, you know, be in a larger community with others like you and like Jasmine and like Skull Rock Broadcast or Starcourt Study Hall, who
Absolutely.
we all love this show, and just be able to talk about it with people who can, you know, really relate and like to talk about it like almost all the time. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, it's always great, and that's also one of the reasons that I really love doing the podcast. And the same with Jasmine is like, you know, our big goal with this podcast is not just to share our opinions and our theories and all that on the show, but it's to continue to build the community of Stranger Things and to reach out to people like your friends who have never seen the show and don't have interest in it. Maybe they listen to this podcast or a Stranger Things podcast. Maybe that'll have them rethinking their decision.
For sure. And you mentioned, you know, people saying that might seem like a lot of work, but I feel like when you're passionate about something, it doesn't necessarily feel like that much work, if it makes sense. Like, you know, creating content, I enjoy it. I have fun with it. So to me, it's just like a creative outlet. I don't really look at it as much as like work, but I know that I put effort into it and things like that, but it just, I don't know, when you're passionate about something, it just comes a little bit easier, I find. Maybe you can relate to that in doing this podcast, but yeah, it comes easier, I find.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there are sometimes when I do have moments of like, oh, I'm tired of I feel like I talk around in circles all the time about this. You know, sometimes I do, you know, need a little break. Breaks are also important, even with content creation. Everyone needs those. But yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoy doing the podcast. I love being able to talk to Jasmine about the podcast and being able to record and do everything with her with the podcast and you know, on Instagram and everything like that. Of course, it's going to be much better once we get actual season 5 content, but it's still fun.
Sure, and I'm sure it's nice to have, you know, somebody doing it with you, you know, having the two of you hosting this podcast. Sometimes you can maybe split up the work, and you're also able to do it with somebody who is, you know, like-minded and as passionate as you. So that's kind of nice too.
Yeah, because I used to do this by myself, like when I first started it back in like 2021, which it's funny because it actually started out as a response to like some things I saw on Reddit, and I guess I just got tired of like, right, responding to Reddit messages, and I'm like, you know what? I mean, I like this show. I like to talk about this show. I'm already kind of in the thralls of the internet anyway. I mean, I also like listening to podcasts. I mean, why not just create a little podcast, talk about the show and things like that. And then it kind of grew. And then, like after season 4, I was just like, you know, as great as it is to talk to myself, there's only so much you can do that before you feel like you're going crazy. And so I was like, and I'm just going to step out on a long limb here and just to see if there's anyone out there who maybe would be interested in joining the show as co-host. And Jasmine actually had been on with me as a guest, like, I think like twice before then, and so we already had that chemistry there, and she was on another podcast at the time, and she was like Not a Stranger Things podcast, and she was looking for something different, and she saw the post I had made on Twitter, and she answered the call, and the rest is history. But it's been so great, just again, like to be able to, talk to somebody, rebound thoughts off of each other, and like you said, like us putting our heads together and creating content for our show and for our Instagram and all that. So it's always great when you're able to find people or have people that are passionate about something like you are, and to be able to do something like this with them. Collaboration is fun.
It truly is. It makes it more fun for sure. Being able to collaborate with different people in the community, or having, a co-host as well. It just, somebody to bounce ideas off of, and like I said, someone to obsess just as much as you are. Like, there's nothing better really than finding a friend like that and having somebody to create content with like that too. So it's awesome.
So do you think there are any characters are underrated or missing from the current line of the Stranger Things Funko Pops?
For the longest time, I was adamant that we needed a Murray Funko Pop. They finally gave us one towards the end of 2024. Maybe it was the summer around there. So we finally got a Murray. I was on that train for a couple of years. It was pretty shocking to me that he had been such like a pivotal character from season 2 onwards, and after season 4, I think it took 3 waves before they finally put out a Murray Funko Pop. And then recently they gave us another variant of him too, which should be coming soon. So we're actually going to have 2 Murrays now, which is awesome. Chrissy was another one, but we got her, thankfully. One that we necessarily haven't gotten is Jason, who may not necessarily be a fan favorite, I know, but I do believe his role was important enough for him to have his own Funko Pop. I think that'd be really cool. I know I attended a convention in October of last year. It was a Stranger Things convention put on by Epic Cons. I didn't get the chance to meet Mason Dye, who played Jason, but everybody I talked to that met him just said he was like an incredible person, just super kind, down to earth, really interacted well with the fans. So I think knowing that about him too makes me feel like he also is more deserving of a Funko Pop. And then Enzo would be another one. I think we need him because we got Yuri in the most recent wave. So I feel like Enzo's the last big piece of that Russian team, if you will, that is deserving.
That's crazy. I would definitely have thought Dimitri before Yuri. And also, like, that's crazy about Murray. Like, I have thought that, after season 3, like, because he played such a bigger role in season 3 than he did in season 2, and became that's when he became an iconic character on the show. And he's just now getting a Funko Pop. That's crazy. Yeah,
his role obviously grew bigger and bigger as the seasons went on, and season 4 was crazy too. So for him not to get one like right away was shocking to me, especially because like we had gotten like, I want to say like 6 or 7 different Eddie variants by that point, which I'm not complaining about because I love Eddie as a character, but it's just interesting sometimes how they decide which ones to release and when, I guess. But they finally gave us Murray, so I'm happy about that. He finally got his justice. Well deserving.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully by at least the end of the series, all of like the more important characters, even the ones that aren't as popular, will have Funko Pops for all of them. I would love that personally.
For sure. And I think after they exhaust season 5, I think they may even go back to previous seasons. If you look at different fandoms that have, ended, like Harry Potter, for example, they're still putting out new variants of characters or even new characters, how many years later since that franchise ended. So I think once they get through season 5, they'll kind of backtrack a little bit, and we may see some of the characters that we've been missing over the years. Because there's a few, and even like different character variants. There's definitely a lot of options that haven't been created yet. One of the biggest ones that stands out to me is Max from season 3. If you remember the scene when both Max and 11 are in their yellow and red raincoats, we got 11 in her red raincoat, but we never got Max in her yellow raincoat, which to me was so weird because, that was in the same scene, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it was like the whole ketchup and mustard thing. It would have been an awesome 2-pack, right? I felt like that would have been perfect, but they just have never made it, so
I know, that's
I
my
feel
thoughts too.
Yeah, it's so weird.
It's ketchup and mustard.
Yeah,
I feel like that video be without each other.
Yeah, it was so I feel like that went viral everywhere. So it would have been a smart move, but yeah, they haven't. So I think they will in the future. I like to try and speak these things into existence. I'm all about manifesting Funko Pop, so I try to talk about this one specifically as much as I can because I feel like we need it. The fan base needs that duo together. You know what I mean? But I think it'll take some time, but we will finally get some of the other characters.
Yeah, I feel like the powers that be are going to try as hard as humanly possible to never let Stranger Things die.
I mean, I would be entirely happy with that. And there's also been talks of potential spin-off series and animation series, so I mean, I don't know what that holds, but if any of those end up being true, then that gives them a whole other avenue of Funko Pops to make, so I feel like we're going to have Stranger Things merch for a very long time coming, so I don't think we'll ever be running out, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I hope if the rumors are true, I hope that that happens not just for the sake of, but there really are some good stories there that will do this show and this world justice.
Absolutely. I think anything that the Duffers would put their name behind is going to have that level of effort put into it. If you think about Star Wars and the Clone Wars, it was an animated series, but there was so much important storyline in that animated series too that I feel like Stranger Things could do something similar and really build off the story, even prequel type stuff, or explore the world a little bit more with different characters. There's a lot of different avenues they could take if they decide to go that route. But yeah, the idea of it is intriguing for sure, and I do hope that it ends up being true.
So, let's say the Funko Pop company comes to you, and they're like, Haley, we need something new for the Stranger Things line. Can you design something for us? So if that were to happen, what would you design?
That is a tough one. I feel like there's so many that...
Very broad, I'm sorry, but...
That's okay. I feel like there's just a lot of variants of characters in specific that I feel like would be great to add to our collection. Season 1 Steve, for example, and his blue and I think it's gray striped shirt. I feel like it's just an iconic outfit that hasn't been made into Funko Pop form. I think a lot of what they did in season 4, with Chrissy's Funko Pop, was really cool, how they had her elevated. I think it would be cool to do more of stuff like that, more special effect type Funko Pops or scene specific type Funko Pops. Yeah. I think that would be where I would head, in that direction at least, but there's so many options. There's so many characters and variants that still haven't been made. I think there's just so many options. I would have a heyday. I'd be very happy if they gave me that opportunity, that's for sure. I would have a lot of suggestions, a lot of recommendations. I've been, talking about this for years with different people, so I think that'd be a really cool opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it would be one of the hardest decisions to make.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, credit to the artists who create the Funko Pops. Like I said earlier, the attention to detail, the creativity that goes into it is really incredible. And I feel like it'd be a cool process to just get to, sit in for a day just to see how that all comes to life. Drawing up a design, bringing it, to everybody, getting the approval, designing it. They make prototypes as well, which if you're not familiar with those is just an unpainted, sculpted version of that Funko Pop. Usually they're white or beige or something bland, and then they paint on top of it and add all the details afterwards. I think it would be really cool just to see that process in its entirety, just like how, it comes from an idea to a finished Funko Pop.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally would love to see something like that. Maybe someone will come out with a documentary about Funkos someday. I would love that.
I would 100% watch that. I think there was a skit on Saturday Night Live last night about Funko Pops, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm not counting it out. It could happen. You never know, right? Like, there is a very, very large audience for Funko Pop and pop culture in general. It's such a huge, industry, if you will. So I feel like there would be a lot of people interested in that topic.
So let's talk about Stranger Things itself. Are you cool with that?
Absolutely.
All right, so who's your favorite character in the show?
So my favorite character is Steve Harrington. I think his character arc from season 1 to season 4 is truly incredible. Just going from being a not very liked character at all at the beginning to, growing into the best babysitter we've ever seen. So just watching that over 4 seasons has been truly incredible, but there's so many other special characters too, like Dustin. I really love Dustin. I love the dynamic of the two of them too together. Steve and Dustin is just unmatched, but Max is up there too. She's a really great addition, and her performance in season 4 was incredible. There's nothing else you can say about that. It was just really, really amazing. I would say those are my top 3. Steve has the slight upper edge on the other 2, but all 3 of them hold a special place.
And do you own Steve's Funko?
I own every single variant except for 1. So I think that speaks volumes on saying that he was definitely my favorite character. They've made quite a few variants of him too to this point, which I am not complaining about. The more Steves, the merrier, in my opinion. But yeah, I do try to collect his Funko Pops, all variants if possible.
Awesome. And my top 5 characters are 11, Nancy, Max, Steve, Dustin, and Mike. And it's a very hard thing to choose, but for sure,
Right.
like I know my definite top 3. Okay. And, I think, with Nancy, a lot like Steve, just to seeing, where she was in season 1 and where she is now in season 4. She certainly is flawed. Like, she's not perfect, which none of us are. But just to see the growth, it's just, I always love it when shows do that in an organic way. Especially like with Steve, I think that's a really good example of a show doing something organically that works. And I think also that's a testament to Joe Keery and his acting and just who he is as a person. Because, Steve was supposed to die in season 1, but Joe Keery is the reason that he didn't. Thank goodness. But really, honestly, Stranger Things is a show, and this is something that I rarely can ever say about a show, but Stranger Things really is a show where it doesn't matter what character is on screen. I'm always engaged with what's going on and what they're doing on screen. I never have moments of, we just saw a scene with them. Can we move on to someone else? Or there's some shows I've watched where it's like, I feel like the characters I'm really drawn to the most never seem to have as much screen time as the others, and Stranger Things, I never have those feelings, when I'm watching Stranger Things.
I agree. And I think that's kind of what makes it so difficult to pick a favorite character, is that they've built up all of the character stories so well that you can't really help but fall in love with all of them, right? Like, each character is unique in their own way, has their own story, has their own involvement in this whole crazy world that they're a part of, but they do a really good job at, like, just building up each individual character. And in Steve's instance, they really made him out to be this, not great guy in the beginning. And then for them to, shape his character into what it is and have us all kind of change our opinion on him, I think that's really cool too. And like you said, it happened organically too. It wasn't just like a shift. It happened over, 4 seasons, and you get to really see, who he was and who he's become, like a lot of the other characters too. But yeah, they do a really good job at building up characters, which makes it so hard to really dislike any of them, right?
So, in regards to the 5th and final season, like, how hyped would you say you are for it?
I don't even think I could like put my hype on a number scale. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'm at like 100 easily. The anticipation has been a lot. I mean, we're approaching almost 3 years now since season 4 aired, so I've had a lot of time to sit and think of, possibilities and what's coming. I mean, obviously I have no clue at the end of the day like the rest of us, but it's yeah, I can't wait. I'm going to be devastated that it's over, obviously, because I love the show, and it'll be crazy to think that we'll never get new episodes with this specific cast again, but I want to see how the story ends. I'm not sure if it will be a necessarily happy ending, but I just want to know how the story wraps up. So I'm super excited, and once it drops, I have no doubt that it will consume my personality once again. So I am entirely ready for season 5.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It almost feels like you're on a roller coaster, and like the fear factor of the unknown of, what's going to happen, but also that nervousness and of just being excited about the ride. But yeah, I mean, I've honestly have never been so excited to see not just the ending of a show, but to see how the show ends. I think is what I'm looking forward to the most. Of like, okay, well, how do they end this show? Like, I mean, I know they said that they're going to bring everything full circle, and we're gonna get a lot of things answered this season. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm just looking forward to like how they stick the landing.
Absolutely. And seeing the build up, I feel like each season has gotten progressively more intense, if you will. Season 4 was, quite a step up from season 3. And if they continue on that trend, season 5 is probably going to be just absolutely mind-blowing. I'm concerned about who's going to make it out, obviously. Like we were just saying, we have so much love for so many of these characters. Obviously, I think we'd love if they all made it out and had a happy ending, but I'm not so sure, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, just the anticipation and the what ifs, and kind of just thinking of, where they're going to take us on this journey. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so do you have like any hopes for the final season?
Hopes for the final season? I really want like certain specific characters to make it. I mean, like I said, I'd love everybody to make it, but given the stakes and what happened in season 4, not super confident about that. Dustin is a character I'd really like to see make it out. I'm really looking forward to the dynamic of getting to see Hopper and Joyce actually, be together and be a couple, because there's been so much build up for 4 seasons now. So it'll be interesting kind of just to see that dynamic finally play out. But obviously I'm hoping Steve Harrington makes it out too, but I don't know. It's yeah, hard to predict, hard to know exactly where I'd want them to take this story, but I do feel like they're going to do a really good job of it, however they do end up wrapping it up.
So what's like a favorite theory of yours for season 5, if you have one?
For me, I think that Will Byers is going to just, I don't know, he's going to have a really large role in season 5. And I know this has kind of been confirmed by the Duffers, that we're kind of going back to like the season 1 roots, if you will. I'm not confident that he's going to end up being a good guy at the end of the day, which may be controversial, but I don't know. There's something inside of me. There's something inside of me that just feels like maybe, I don't know, he may not end up being a good guy at the end of this all. I think just seeing how Vecna or One or Henry kind of like manipulates people, and knowing that, he still kind of feels him when he's back in Hawkins, and they kind of alluded to that at the end of season 4. It just makes me feel like there's going to be some connection between the two of them in season 5. And I'm not sure if he'll be strong enough to, deal with that kind of intensity from such a crazy character like Vecna. But that's kind of just been the thing that I've been feeling, is that something big is going to happen with Will, and I don't necessarily know if we're going to be happy with the result, but...
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, you can't make everyone happy, and I don't think that they will make everyone happy. But, I mean, I am looking forward to us finally, learning about Will's time in the Upside Down in season 1. But yeah, I mean, I feel like at the end of the day, if we don't get answers to not only that, but also answers to, why he's still, connected to Vecna and the Upside Down, and if they don't go anywhere with that in season 5, and if Will doesn't, speak up and be like, hey, I'm feeling the tingling again, like he did in season 3 and didn't say anything, then I feel like if it was just all for nothing, I definitely think there will be a lot of fans who are not going to be happy with that, including myself. And also, my biggest thing with Will and what they've said that they're going to do with him in season 5 is, I just hope it doesn't overshadow anything we've learned with 11 and her past and how it relates to Henry / Vecna / 1, because that was such a big thing in season 4, and I feel like such a big thing for the show in general. I would hate for whatever's going to happen with Will and the reveals and answers we get with that to overshadow or, God forbid, retcon any of that. I think that would be a terrible decision on the Duffers' part. And I don't think that it will come to that, because I think they're just too good writers and showrunners for that. But yeah, I mean, that's probably one of my biggest fears going into season 5, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and I think they've built up this almost sibling dynamic with 11 and Will too, especially, season 4 having them move to California. So I think it's going to be really focused on the two of them in season 5, as I think it should be. This whole story really did start with Will and 11 too. So it's only fitting that both of them, have the limelight in season 5, and we really get to dive deeper into both of their stories. I think recently seeing The First Shadow on Broadway and getting that story has also kind of given me this perspective into thinking Will could possibly take a negative turn in season 5, but I guess we'll see, right? Only time will tell.
So you recently got the opportunity to go see the First Shadow play on Broadway. So for those of us who have not been able to see it, and without giving away too many spoilers, what can you tell us about the play?
First and foremost, it's absolutely incredible. 100 out of 10. The special effects are out of this world, and they really make you feel like you're almost like a part of an episode or a season. It's crazy, what they were able to achieve there. Without giving too much information about the show, it just follows a lot of the characters that we know, like Hopper, Joyce, a lot of the parents, Dustin's parents, Lucas's parents, and it goes back to when they were in high school. So we kind of get to see character development for all of them, and also it's mainly focused around Henry Creel and his story, and kind of getting to see how things transpired and he became who he was. So kind of just gave you an insight into all of their lives, that time in their life, and how Henry Creel went from there to being, the monster that we know him to be in season 4. So it was interesting just to have that perspective and see their life in a different era, if you will. A lot of character development, and it was incredible. Really can't say enough good things about it.
So, in your opinion, is this a must-see before season 5 in terms of plot? And by that I mean, Do you think that those of us who haven't seen the play or maybe won't be able to before season 5 premieres, that we would be lost without having seen the play beforehand?
Definitely don't think you would be lost because it's a prequel. It's just more character development, like I said. So you get some of that in season 4 already, enough to follow along with the story. So I don't think you would be necessarily missing anything, and season 5 wouldn't be confusing if you don't end up seeing it. But I think it just adds that much more to these characters and helps you understand them a lot better. And for that reason, for me, I recommend it 100% if you're able to go. I know they're doing a Netflix documentary following the cast that was in London. So that might be something that's really worth checking out as well. Maybe you get a little bit more insight from that documentary without being able to see it. I know not everybody can travel to New York. But if you're able to, if you're in the area, if you can make the trip, I 100% recommend it because it was incredible. Even a couple of weeks later, I'm still processing and I feel like I have to go back to see it again. It was that good. So
awesome. Yeah, I just had to take the opportunity to ask you that question because I know the Duffer Brothers and Kate Trefry, who is also a writer on Stranger Things, but she also wrote the stage play for this for the first Shadow. And what they've been saying is like, well, you don't really need to watch it, but if you before season 5 to get season 5, but if you do watch it, then seasons 5 will make more sense. And I know that you don't know what's going to happen in season 5, but I just felt like, well, since you were there and you witnessed it firsthand, just to get your thoughts on, from just a firsthand account of like, is this something that we're going to have to see or have to watch? Because I really, had to be honest with you, I really hate that Netflix has yet to put it on Netflix. I think that's just really weird, and maybe they will one day, but yeah, I really hate that they haven't done that yet, because I would love to see it. I don't think I'm going to get the opportunity to be able to go to New York to watch it, at least not this year, but maybe one day before it ends its run on Broadway, I will be able to. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's incredible that you were able to go because I have heard a lot especially about the special effects and stuff. So thank you for sharing.
yeah, of course. I mean, obviously, like you said, I don't know what's coming in season 5, but I really felt like it was really connected to season 4. It was just more in-depth view into season 4, if you will. But I think just having, more understanding of characters can never hurt. But I don't think you'll necessarily be lost in season 5. But I think for now, while it's still on Broadway, I think for them to add it to Netflix would kind of like negate the need for people to come and see it in person. So I feel like they'll probably let it play out, go to Broadway when they're done with Broadway. I'm not sure if they have plans on going to another city in the world, but I think when they're eventually done with actually their live performances, I feel like it will one day end up on Netflix. Like it's just that good that I feel like it would be a missed opportunity if it didn't end up on Netflix at least one day.
So just some final questions before we wrap this up. And I just thought this would be like just a fun question for you because we know Joe Keery recently dropped an album, The Crux, on April the 4th. It's very good. If those of you, if you haven't listened to it yet, highly encourage you to go do that because it's so good. So do you think, which do you think will happen first? Dojo, aka Joe Keery, wins a Grammy, or Stranger Things wins an Emmy for season 5?
That's tough. I feel like Joe's gotten so much, popularity and grown over the last year since End of Beginning went viral, and couldn't be more happy for him. The Crux, like you said, is amazing. Start to finish, it's a really, really good listen. I think it really flows well together. But I don't know. I feel like I gotta go with season 5 and an Emmy for some reason, because I just feel like the Duffers, they don't do anything small. It's like with them, it's go big or go home all the time. So I just feel like they're wrapping this story up and it's just going to be insane. It's hard to say, obviously, without seeing it. Joe's music is incredible, and I think he's super deserving of many awards, and I'm really, really glad that the world is learning that he also does music as well. I know for a while he was kind of like hiding the fact that he was who he was through his music because he wanted people just to connect with the music and not listen to it because he's Joe Keery, if that makes sense. But
yeah,
hard to say. I feel like they're both deserving of all the awards, but I feel like season 5 is probably, I feel like they're probably going to win one. Obviously, can't predict the future, but if I had to guess, I feel like that's what I'd place my bet on.
Yeah, I do too. I think it's more likely that Stranger Things wins an Emmy for season 5. But I would love it, for Joe at least to be nominated for a Grammy. I think that would be amazing. But yeah, I would just love for Stranger Things to sweep the Emmys. I don't think that's going to happen. But I think with it being such an iconic show and for it, going into Emmy season with, the 5th and final season just, been released and all that. If they're not, if they don't win at least one, the system is broken.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like it's a sure bet, and I feel like also like Joe is also on the right path too. Just having performed at Coachella this past weekend, like that's a huge step in his music career. I think only good things are coming his way as well. I can't rule either of them out, really. Like, they're both, individually doing such great things that I think success is headed in both directions.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's great to see, Joe and others of the cast, their careers post Stranger Things picking up already, and season 5 hasn't even been released yet. So it's great to see that they're all going to have bright futures after the show has ended.
For sure. And I think it's cool to see another avenue because obviously, he's a talented actor. And a lot of the Stranger Things, actors and actresses, like a lot of them do music too. So it's just really cool to see the multi-talented cast that we have here. Like they're all able to do so many different things and do them well too, which is amazing. So, I mean, I know season 5 is coming and it's ending, but I'll be following this cast for forever and what they do and every avenue that they take. I think it's cool that they're, trying different things. Like Finn Wolfhard, for example, he's producing movies now too, which is really cool. So it's really cool to see what everyone's doing and kind of what their path is going to be like after Stranger Things as well.
Yeah, for sure. So where can people find you on social media to follow all things Stranger Things Funko Pop related from you?
I am on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, and you can find me at Haley's Funko Space.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Haley, for joining me today. It was so fun to talk Funko Pops with you and about the play and just Stranger Things with you. And honestly, just so fun to take kind of a break from so much analytics like we like to do here on the Ham Radio podcast and just talk about, something just fun. I mean, not that the other stuff we talk about is not fun, but yeah, it was fun to talk about something different. And I'm so glad that you said yes to the invitation. And you're welcome back on the show anytime that you want to. Maybe after season 5 comes out or before, like when we get trailers or whatnot, you can come back on and we can actually talk some theories for season 5 and things like that. But is there anything that you would like to share with everyone before we go?
Just thank you so much for having me on here. Like you said, it's been a blast chatting. It's nice to chat about different things every once in a while, and I really appreciate, you reaching out. It's been fun, and definitely would love to chat, season 5 in the future, so look forward to that as well.
And that's our show. If you like what you heard today, be sure to subscribe and tell your friends. Our theme music is provided by Neon Knights. Thank you for listening to this episode of Ham Radio, a Stranger Things podcast. Please join us next time, same dial, same time.
Over and out.